Hope you all are having a lovely day. I, Prachi, on behalf of World Disputes Ecosystem, welcome you all to our conference on the topic Women in ADR, Arbitrators and Mediators. We have four remarkable women as our panel members today who will be sharing their inspiring journeys as ADR professionals in their respective countries and how they created a successful career despite all the challenges in these fields. So I will be starting with a brief introduction of all our panel members and then over to you. So first is Miss Eunice. She's the lead counsel at Hepzibah LP, a full-service law firm situated in Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria. She's a dispute management and resolution expert with over 15 years of experience in tactical and strategic handling in litigation, negotiation, and mediation for national and multinational companies. Then we have Miss Natalia. Miss Natalia is an attorney mediator with about 15 years of experience in diverse areas of practice. She possesses both local and international certifications. She's an LMDC accredited mediator and ODRA Africa and ODR Europe certified dispute practitioner. Then we have Ms. Meena Wagre from India. She is the founder of a private mediation office out of court that offers exclusive mediation training and internship to law students in India. Her organization has been nominated for the prestigious Shamnath Bashir Prize by Agami for her work on the grassroots level. She identifies herself as a mediator and trainer and is happy to contribute to peace. And last but not the least, we have Ms. Salva. She's a head of mission in the Office of the Head of Government since April 2019. She worked in the Ministry of National Defense as an administrative officer for 15 years and had accomplished many missions of mediation and conflict resolution in the field work. So now we are going to hear more from our panel members and they'll be sharing their journeys with you. So over to you, Ms. Eunice. We will kickstart our conference with your insights.
Thank you for having me. I want to say thank you to What One
Happy to
Alliance.
have you here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. You're totally audible.
Okay. Okay. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity, the privilege to be here on this
Pleasure
panel.
to have you.
Thank
Over
you.
to you.
And it's a privilege to be the first person talking here. All right. I became a lawyer in the year 2008 in Nigeria. Well, my prior intention was not to be going to court and be speaking, and all of that. But that was the first place I found myself going to court. I'm a very playful person. I could be very mischievous and I could be very serious. So when I started off with litigation, I had a principal I was assigned because Nigeria, you have 1 year compulsory service to nation. So I was assigned to children ministry as a trainer because I love teaching children. But because my work was basically during weekends, so I assigned myself to a law firm where my litigation skill was honed. I was very skinny. I believe my size was like size 8 then. So when people see me, oh, are you a lawyer? This girl, you're so young. What will you do? So that makes me to work hard that, oh, you need to prove yourself if you really want to. Because clients, when they assign files to you, that who is going to represent me and say, oh, it's Eunice. Like, this small girl. So I say, yes, I'm small but mighty. So it helps my skill. I read well, go to court, and it became a time that clients actually requested that, oh, who is going for that? I want Eunice to attend to my matter. And that was how we started. You go to court, you get prepared, you take the other counsel by surprise. So it was fun. As a young lawyer, you go, oh, I I did this and I did that. So I finished my national youth service. I moved to Lagos and continued the terrain. So there was one particular case in 2012 was in a magistrate court. By the way, I've practiced in the magistrate court, in the high court, even to the court of appeal and Supreme Court. So this matter at the magistrate court, the other counsel saw me. Of course, I was still the spinning cell. And he asked me, are you the one they sent for this matter? I said, yes. Why? He said, because I want your principal to come here and face me. I felt so insulted. That what do you mean for how much is your claim? That in fact, I won't be the one coming for this case. I will ask my junior to come for this matter. And we started. So the battle shifted from the main issue to the ego of the lawyers. Who will win this matter? I've read the authorities, the decided cases were in my favor. So I was so sure that we're going to get judgment. So we continued. The matter went on for about 4 years. I even had a counter claim, but I was representing a big company, and his client was just a surviving or thriving, a trying company. So they were quite not as powerful as my clients. So when we started off, and the magistrate referred the matter to Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse. When we got to Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, we had 2 mediators mediating on the matter, and they were like, oh, you can resolve this matter amicably. We are not resolving anything amicably. In fact, because in Nigeria, to become a senior advocate, you have a number of cases that you must win for you to be able to apply. So I've counted it as part of the cases I'm going to use for my personal development, not clients that. So they made an offer, the claimant offered to withdraw his claims, but on the condition that my client continued to patronize them. And I said, no, you cannot compel us to patronize you. I was not open to other options. If I had the opportunity I have, maybe the knowledge I have now, perhaps would have resolved that matter. But because of ego, we went ahead, the matter was referred back to court. And after another 2 years, I had the son started school on this same matter. And the magistrate, perhaps looking at being on sentiment, he dismissed one of the claims and he granted one claim on a principle of law that was totally wrong. We have spent 6 years on a case. How much was the claim? So I looked at it that there must be a better way. If I had advised the client to go on an appeal, because I was so sure the court they would set it aside, but at whose expense? How much is the judgment sum? Because I believe the magistrate just pitied the man that, oh, this man is just struggling. Let me grant this thing to him so that he can have something. That was the basis, because the judgment was not supported by law. But I look at the cost of appealing, and to whose favor? To mine or to my client? That no, the client should come first. It's a commercial transaction. There should be a better way of doing this thing. And that was my journey. That's how my journey to mediation started. So I enrolled for Introduction to Mediation Advocacy course. I did it. I was so happy that, oh, there's another way out. We could get it better. It's not about winning and losing. So after that mediation, Introduction to Mediation Advocacy program, I enrolled for the main advocacy training. In fact, we were the first set who had a standing conference on mediation advocacy training in Nigeria at the time. Then when we finished the training, we were put in a mediation center. The Lagos State has different mediation centers where indigent people go to for their matter to be resolved amicably. And in one day, we resolved 3 tenancy matters. Prior to that day, I had a tenancy matter in court where I was representing the landlady. The tenant does not have money and was not ready to leave. Each time we go to court, is that they write letter? We've been on it for 2 years. And in one day, 3 tenancy matters were resolved. That I have a better way of doing this. And that made me to say, oh, I want to be part of this process. I want to be, because the issue, in one of the cases, the issue was not the issue of even possession, was the issue of respect, which is not contained in the processes filed before the court. So there are underlying factors that people can actually look into that can resolve most of the surface cases that we see in court, emotions, feelings. I love the feeling I had, seeing parties reconciling, apologizing to each other. In fact, in one of the cases, oh, you don't need to leave again. I'm okay with what you have done. And that was it for me. And that was how my journey to mediation started. So in 2016, I trained as a mediator with Lagos State Multi-Door Courthouse, and then got enrolled as a member of panel of NITRA. And it's been awesome. Yes, am I still doing litigation? Yes, I still do litigation. But for me, before I even proceed to court, I try to see if party can resolve the matter amicably. In fact, there was one matter in 2016, was a labor matter. I was representing a company and there was an injury. The law provides for what you're entitled to when there is a workplace injury. But when you look at the amount that is provided, it's quite small. So my client made an offer, but they became entitled because here in Nigeria, we feel that National Industrial Court is a pro-employees court. The employee can always get anything. And then even their decisions are not appellable. So sometimes the employee could go overboard, become entitled and ask for things that are out of reach. But in this matter, I look at the way the counsel had prepared the process that, no, I have a strong case. And when we continued, after we did the trial, I was preparing my written address and I was so sure that I was going to get judgment. So I called the counsel on the other side. That I looked at it that if this boy were to be my family member, would I just be happy just winning the case? I don't just want to win. It's not about winning. Can I make this offer to you? And I will persuade my client to take it and pay. They said no. They were still asking for a review, but at that point I knew I've cleared my conscience. The judgment came, yes, as predicted. I won the case. But I couldn't celebrate it. I felt bad that only if this counsel had advised his clients rightly, not about being selfish, because perhaps because of the percentage he was going to get on the recovered money, but that was nothing was given to this boy. And that has been, every time I have the opportunity, we tell people about mediation that sometimes when you approach people for settlement, it's not because you cannot fight, it's not because you don't know the law, but because there are better ways of resolving things and for you to be able to keep relationship. Relationship matters. When we have good relationship, business thrive. We have functional families. We have functional businesses. But when we put our greed ahead, when we put our personal interests ahead, what do we have? We continue to have unresolved conflicts. Sometimes you have a matter set, but it's not resolved. So mediation has been my superpower. I've been an advocate of mediation, and it has even helped me to go back that, okay, how can we help? Because, you know, the settlement we see, how people resolve conflict, is a reflection of the kind of childhood or upbringing they have. So why can't we just start from the children, perhaps by preaching the message of peace education? How can we teach younger people to be able to accommodate others? How can we teach younger people to be considerate of others? How can we teach younger people not to be greedy? And I believe by the time they grow up, they understand the better way of resolving conflict, which is part of my callings now, peace building with children. And I'm still very much in mediation. I hope I've not used up all my time.
No. That's a very insightful kind of a journey, Eunice. And you know, it will surely inspire a lot of young people to actually look into these prospects. So not at all, you were amazing, and it's very very insightful to just have you here. So you can add anything if you want. I mean, I won't interrupt you.
Okay, so like I said, Natalia here is my friend, and we've been on this journey of mediation together. I mediate with Lagos State Multi-Door Courthouse, and many times they call me. Yes, I do my law practice, but I get more fulfillment. Like I discussed with Natalia many times that this mediation thing that we're doing, it's just like a passion. It's like a voluntary work. Because if you compare what you're getting from mediation compared to what you will get when you just give legal advice or agreement, it's nothing compared to it. But money is not everything. With time, money will come, people will get to know you for who you are. And then you are impacting life, you're changing generation. And together we'll have a better world, we'll have a better environment. And then as a woman, I've never felt like thankfully, growing up, everybody have a limit, some kind of limitation, limited belief that we have imposed on ourselves. Oh, I'm too young. Oh, people will look down on me. And most time it's not actually so, but it's what we have imposed on ourselves. I see more women in mediation, and we are doing fantastically well, and we can do better. And for us to be able to have confidence more, we need to hone our skill, commit to continuous education. I'm a chartered tax practitioner. I had to go through the exam so that when I have matters on taxation, I will talk from a place of knowledge, not like a novice. And when people listen to you, even no matter your size, no matter their perception, when they listen to you and they see that this person knows what she's saying, this person knows the area she's talking about, they will listen. I've had to mediate in a room with professors, lawyers. When they come in initially, they were, oh, it is our young mediator. By the time you take charge, you start talking, they give you that respect that, oh, if I had one experience recently that if this is how mediation is, then all our matter will come to mediation. And I think that it's a lot of hard work, then self-confidence coming into it. Confidence does not come when we have all the answers, but when we have the boldness to say that I'm going to face every question. If you ask the question, you don't know, you go back and study more and equip yourself, prepare well, and we'll see that we'll strive and fly with beautiful colors. Let me stop here so that I can allow other panelists to have their shares.
Okay, thank you, Eunice. And it was amazing to have you here. So moving on to our next speaker, and I'm very sure this session is going to be very, very exciting. So Natalia, can we have you here? Over to you, Natalia.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
From your friend.
Okay. So I'm happy to be here to meet all of you. So my journey into mediation began over 6 years ago. So I had a particular matter. Growing up, I've always wanted to be a lawyer and be, a courtroom gladiator, and then climb to the bench and become, a CJN, the Chief Justice of Nigeria. It was that excitement. So after law school and the compulsory 1-year service, I joined a law firm, but I had to work for 3 months. And then my father wasn't feeling well, and he had a business, he had a company, a pharmaceutical company. So I had to go, standing for him because my brother, who was a pharmacist, was not around. So it was supposed to be like the 3 months of 4 affair. I ended up spending 5 years there. So the first thing I said to myself was, what's a lawyer doing in a pharmacy? These are two extremes. So I was not putting in my best, but I realized that I'm actually a lawyer. And because I'm a lawyer, you're supposed to be leading by example. So I was going to court, but it wasn't. I ended up spending 5 years, and I resigned. And I wanted to go back to, to law practice and then climb to become a CJ. So one day I was actually, I had a matter in court the following day, and I was up to 1 a.m. So I could get, and I hadn't slept. So that same day in the morning, I got ready. On my way to court, I slept off while driving. Now, the next thing I heard was a loud sound. I had hit a man, his BMW, a brand new car, and he got down and he said to me, "Madam, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "Sorry, I haven't slept and I have a matter in court this morning." He just said to me, "Take care of yourself." And he drove off. So I got to the court, and the next thing, I slept in court. The judge asked the audience to tell me to leave the courtroom. And so I didn't, my matter wasn't heard that day. So I left. On my way back, I narrowly escaped another accident. So I said to myself, I'm not up for this. How can I be awake every night just to represent someone in court? So, and then at that period, my husband asked me to resign and take care of the children. It wasn't so easy at first. I had an argument with him, but eventually I stayed back. And all I did was watch Z World, watch movies and all that. So I became very redundant. But inside of me, I wanted to practice law. So one day, I just got up and took a walk down to the courtroom and to the courthouse. So on the signpost was an advert calling for mediators. And so I applied and I got in. Eventually, that was how my journey to mediation started. Now, what really, interested me so much was that on the first day I had my, solo mediation, the matter was resolved in less than 1 hour. And I was really amazed at 1 hour, and they've been in court for more than 6 years, dragging a tenancy matter for that. So I was amazed. And then the next case I had was resolved. I was super excited because for me, I just wanted to, help people resolve their matter, even whether as a judge or, as a lawyer, just help them make sure that they are happy. But you see, mediation is different. There's this joy you feel. And then the privacy of being in a room where you can actually talk freely and members of the public would not have to listen to everything you're saying. That alone is even very calm. And so that was how I threw in my passion, everything into mediation. And, as the cases were being resolved, I was super excited. I was like, wow, so really, people can actually have their matters resolved on time. But of course, there were instances where it was quite difficult, where you have some parties who come in and they will make the whole process so frustrating, really. But my mediation experience has been very wonderful. And like Eunice rightly pointed out, at the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, where we both practice, most of our mediation cases.
Yes, Natalia, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but
Okay.
your video is really freezing. So it's a very important session and you're giving some amazing insights. But I'm trying to fix the technical issues from my end, but there is something, the video is freezing.
Okay,
so
yeah.
check
Is
the
it better
connection.
now? Okay, let me see. Country. Okay, so is it better now?
Okay, just
Hi,
continue. I thought I'll just flag it with you. Continue. It's okay. We are listening. So you can continue. It's slightly better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I hope this network doesn't mess up my session. Okay, so like I said, the mediation experience has been very wonderful for me because parties come in and matters are being resolved almost within a couple of hours, and in some cases within a week. So, and I felt, okay, this is really nice. I could actually put in my best because the whole essence is to help people resolve their matters and help them have a better understanding of what their dispute is all about. And the importance, like you rightly pointed out, it's important that the relationship existed before the dispute is actually maintained. You don't get that in litigation. So it leaves that bitterness and further strains that relationship. But in mediation, you actually enjoy that friendship. People are able to reconcile and they have the opportunity to truly express how they feel. Unlike in the court, centered process where you have the lawyers representing the parties speaking on their behalf. But in mediation, you have the parties express themselves. They are able to share how they feel, express them. And that's why mediation is, a party-driven process. Parties have the opportunity to really say how they feel and they own the outcome of that decision, unlike when the judge is the one that hands over the judgment to them and they feel, they feel bad about the whole thing. But in mediation, they decide for themselves really how they feel. My journey has been smooth so far, but the challenges I really encountered as a mediator, came mostly from the parties themselves. You have parties who are difficult. Once they have their mindset, fixated, there's nothing you do that make them shift grounds, even when their case is not nice. They would rather want to go back to court. I'm getting some signs at my. Hello, Prachi. Hear me clearly?
Yes, Natalia.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the parties are mostly the challenges I face. The attitude to mediation is actually a problem sometimes, because as mediators we have to, manage our emotions well. So we have to express ourselves by intelligently handling our emotions so that it doesn't get in the way. Because sometimes the position which a party takes can be very frustrating. And if you're not careful as a mediator, even with your best skills and best mediating styles, you can become, look stupid in the whole process. And it can actually frustrate the best of mediators when parties don't cooperate with the mediation process. And another challenge I've faced as a mediator are most times the lawyers. There are some lawyers who come in and, they want to prove to you that, maybe because they want to show their clients that they can actually take charge of the process. They know what they've studied, they've read, so they can, prove themselves. So when you have some parties who are willing to resolve the matter, you have their lawyers, advising them differently, because the lawyers most times may not have the opportunity to express themselves during mediation, not because the mediator doesn't allow them, but maybe because that session with the parties gives the mediator a better understanding and feel of the process. And so some of them feel that they are being put aside. But usually what I do is that I have a private meeting first with the lawyers and tell them really what we are here for is to have a way of resolving this dispute. And we can't move forward if you do not cooperate with the process, because you have a role to play as a lawyer in a mediation session to actually encourage your party to have an open mind and be, recipient to different options that are being generated to see and ensure that the matter is being resolved. And again, one of the problems I've encountered as a mediator is that of language. Now, I've been privileged to have people from different nationals, not just within Nigeria, but outside. I remember a particular case I had. There was a Chinese national, and that particular person didn't know how to speak English, but luckily, someone was there who was interpreting. So that made it easier for me. And in some cases, I've had to switch from English language to the local language in Nigeria. I speak about 3 Nigerian languages. So when I find a party who, find it very difficult to understand the mediation in the process, I switch over to that particular language which the person understands. And sometimes it could be very challenging when you don't give that deep interpretation as they really would want it. And then also, there is the internal pressure that the mediator equally feels. And this will usually happen when you as a mediator, you don't prepare for your matter. Now, preparation is not limited to the parties alone. It's far from it. As a mediator, you must be prepared at every point in time. And so just like Eunice was saying, you must constantly, hone your skills. What do? Go for trainings if you have to go for trainings. Learn from other mediators who are excelled in that area. Ask questions. So if you have a case that you have been given to you and you're not quite sure how to go about it, you can actually research on it. And that has helped me. At the early stage of my mediation journey, I had an experience where I'm given a particular case and I'm like, okay, I'm not used to this. Or maybe where you have senior advocates who are coming in, or those who have been in practice for, say, 40 years, there is natural intimidation like, oh, wow, these people have been in practice for this number of years. But if you prepare for your case, if you study, you research, you ask the necessary questions ahead of time, you go into that mediation session, you're confident, because as a mediator, you should be in charge of your session. And where the parties, see that you're not prepared, you can mess up the case. And they will feel like, oh, this person is not even sure what they are doing. So what I do is I research all the time. I make sure I read, I make sure I prepare. So everything from the time I started to this moment, I've become more confident. Emily, you must also find your own style. Every media their own style. That's something that's very important. If you can develop, if you can develop your own style, then you will do well as a mediator. While you learn from other people and how they're able to handle their own matter, you must have your own unique style. There's a uniqueness that comes with every mediation and a mediator. So the style the mediator adopts and actually plays a great role in the competence that you bring to bear. Otherwise, you will mess up the entire process, and that wouldn't look nice on your CV. And parties to look at like, this person doesn't even know what. So as a mediator, be prepared at all times. And so, basically, that's been my journey into mediation, and I'm very passionate about it. I everywhere I go, I want to, interfere. I would use that word interfere because I want to, okay, why don't you look at it this way? And the amazing thing is that a lot of people don't even know what mediation is all about. So what I do, everywhere I go, I talk about mediation. I said, do you know you can actually save money? You can actually save time. You can actually save energy. You can actually, mend a relationship if you go through the route of mediation. You don't need that. And then some lawyers, if there are lawyers listening to me right now, I just want to tell you that the fact that you are going into mediation would not prevent you from getting your fees. As a matter of fact, you will get your fees. And once what your client wants is that this matter is resolved. You don't need to spend 10 years in court. You don't need to spend, a long period of time in court just to get the matter resolved. Because even your client wants to move on with their business, wants to move on with their life. So what they want from you as a counsel is that you are able to get them out of that mess, help them to resolve the dispute. So if you are dragging the matter, then it's time you understand that this matter is not your personal matter. You are only there to represent your client. And the best interest of your client should be your major concern. And so if there's an alternative to litigation, why don't you go for it? And so mediation offers that opportunity where you are able to resolve it. And then you still have your fee. All you need to do is negotiate your fees before the session with the party and say, this is what I'm going to charge you to represent you. So take into cognizance everything that you need and then present your bill, negotiate with the client, and then you go in there and your fees are covered. You don't make money from representing all the time, giving that. It doesn't really. And then you don't want to be stuck on a particular case. You want to be able to move forward. So, and to mediators or those who are aspiring to be mediators, I want to tell you that you need to constantly improve on your skills. And you do this by, reading, attending webinars, going for trainings. You become better. And then have an open mind. Nobody knows it all because times changes, things changes, information changes. So you need to have an open mind as a mediator. Be ready to learn from your fellow mediators. Be ready to learn from a party. And even when a case is resolved, there are challenges that come with it. Why did the parties refuse to reconcile or resolve the matter at the very beginning? Why were they so difficult at first? You need to understand that reason. It helps you so that in case of next time you have such experience in another mediation session, you would know that this was a reason why, and there's that likelihood. So that's been my journey into mediation, and it's a passion. And looking back today, I'm very happy that I took that journey. And then I'm still aspiring to be a judge. And when I become a judge, I want to become an ADR judge. I'm gonna be that, And I also have passion for family. So Yeah, so that's the basically. So let me stop at this point. Maybe if there are questions, if others have something to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalia, for that insightful session. And I'm sure it will inspire a lot of women to take up mediation or at least explore the idea and let go of the traditional litigation thing that which we have been fed in our law schools. So thanks a lot. So moving on to Ms.
Thank you.
Meena, she will be telling us about her journey and her unique experiences. And I think it's like India, so that would be, a sense of familiarity will be there. So Meena ma'am, over to you.
Would you want me to go in the end like a good host, Prachi? Maybe Salva could go ahead
All
first.
right.
If that is okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Miss Salva, I invite you to give your insights on the topic and your journey in your respective domain.
Okay. Hello again. I'm very happy to see this connection between the African continent and Asian continent. What a wonderful mixture. Women in our continent are suffering from war, from conflict, from inequality. There is no equal chances between men and women. Unfortunately, there is cultural background and there is no politics and no goodwill to let women on the ground and on the floor to lead operation of mediation and operation of peace. This is our reality and this is our fact. And if I accept this invitation, that's because we have to increase our networking. We have to highlight our needs to be on the ground, to be ambassadors of peace, to let the women talk peace, to loud our voices. So I speak by the name of African women, Arabic women, Mediterranean women, and Asian women to gather our efforts for peace world. We have many threats, economic threats, political threats, and military threats, and we have to collaborate closely, especially in this period. As you mentioned, dear Prachi, I'm from a military background. I served 15 years as an officer in the military, and not only as an administrative officer, but also as an officer on the ground. I served on the ground. I have assumed many responsibilities as a high rank officer. And what marks me, it's the date of 2011, when the revolution started in Tunisia and Libya. And women in Libya escaped from milice. There is so many weapons, and weapons given to children. And there is so many African women from Somalia, from Nigeria, from other countries served as many posts of housekeepers, of drivers in Libya, and they come to Tunisia, and we welcome them in the camp of refugees. And until this date, when I was deployed in this camp, I knew what women really suffer. Immigrants and refugees, they suffer from exploitation and sexual abuse. Okay, and when I was there, it was my mission to ensure the security of the camp, and automatically this intuitive mission of protection and implement peace and doing this operation of mediation between this bad man who want to explore this woman and this woman and their children, we suffer this abuse. And this operation of mediation And peace implementation was the key to move from military to humanitarian job. What can women do for women? This is the question. When I see that the resolution, Security Council Resolution 1325 in 2000, there is a gap of 50 years. The end of the Second War, it was 1945, and in 2000, they implement the Security Council Resolution 1325 for what? For improving and recognize the role of women in mediation and arbitration and operation of missions. So what a lose of time. Women suffer in Africa, in Asia, in Palestine, in many countries, and we know and we recognize the role of women after 50 years. But fortunately, women doesn't wait this resolution to do the operation of mediation of peace. We are here. When I listen to young ladies, we are senior, Mina, we are senior, but Prachi and our sisters from Africa are young, and they do this mission, and they mission with intuitively. They didn't ask them to do this mediation operation. They do it naturally, and this is the secret. Women are naturally actors of peace. In 2017, I became a member in the African Union in the network of FemWise Africa. And fortunately, in Africa, there is our organization, African Union, who care about implementing National Action Plan of Peace and encourage women in operation of mediation. And this network, there is a lot of women, brilliant women like you, who are engaged and involved. And we come around the world, and we come to the headquarters to talk and to help each other. And since 2017, I was deployed in mission of mediation in the African continent. So what I can say in this context, we have to respect the conflict of every country. We have to respect the culture of every country to bring success to our mission of mediation. Conflict in Nigeria is not the conflict in Mali. It's not the same conflict in India. It's not the same conflict in Afghanistan. We have to know the culture of every society and the reasons of conflict to go to the table, to go around the table and to do our mission of mediation correctly and with more chance of success. And this job, women are brilliant because we need this kind of emotional intelligence. And women are perfect in emotional intelligence, okay? So we don't implement women in operation of mediation. For this reason, there is no sustainable peace in our continent and other field of conflict. So we are deployed on the ground. Yes, women needed to be deployed on the ground to assume this operation of mediation. But with what's the problem when they come to sign this chart or this referendum or this convention of peace? They are no need to women. In the camera, there is only men. And we have to raise our voice to say, we are on the ground and we are on the table, and we will sign this pact of peace. There is the main difficulties. It's not to only to implement women in operation of mediation, but to recognize the effort and to highlight this effort in the media. So the only countries we really improve the role of women in mediation are the Nordic countries. Finland, Sweden. When we see that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sweden signed the Convention of Peace of Yemen, it was the first woman. What matter of Africa if African or Asian women sign our conflict convention? We have to raise our voice. We have to struggle to see women signing Convention of Mediation and Peace. Ladies, senior ladies and youth ladies have to do this work, have to know their rights and to protect the future generation, because 50% of mediation operation or arbitration operation who was signed by women or implemented by women have the sustainability. They everlast in matter of time. And this is the role of women. Women, when they come in conflict, naturally they soften the conflict. So we are naturally actor of peace. We are not there to say the same word, to talk about our experience. We have a great experience, okay, but we have to manage this experience by acting. This network, our recognition of role of women in mediation or in arbitration must be reactive and proactive. And thank you for being patient to listen to me.
So, Salva, let me tell you, I was actually making a few notes myself while listening to you, and women are naturally actors of peace. This sentence is going to stay with me for the rest of my life and everything I do from here. So, thank you so much for this. And I hope all the women listening to this beautiful conversation and attending this take a note for this. Women are naturally actors of peace. I reiterate it. On that note, thanks a lot, Salva. And I would request Ms. Meena to take it over from here, and we'll come back to you in the question answer round. Thank you so much.
All of you, you are representing my values, my engagement, and my involvement. Thank you.
It was really nice, really nice.
Thank you.
I love listening, I think. So I really enjoyed Eunice's fantastic, energetic experiences. Really nice. Natalia, it was wonderful. And Salva, yeah, really
Thank
nice. Thank you for having me in this panel, Prachi. Thank you. And yeah, I'm a lawyer and I tend to speak a lot. So what I did is I made small notes. So
We are all yours, ma'am. We are all yours.
So I will, I concised my topic. So yeah, this topic is very close to my heart, to be a woman and a mediator. And my journey started when I started as a lawyer, and my attention was a lot on, I was like just newly married, and how in India we are very sheltered, and back then we were more sheltered. When I went to court, the trial courts, I saw that the clients were not really treated very nicely. And then in the family courts also, I would see that the clients, the parties were not treated very nicely. They didn't actually have a role. Only the lawyers and the judges spoke, and that was first thing that caught my eye. And as as days passed, I saw that the cases were getting piled up, and that was many reasons were there for piling up of cases. But what I observed was there were so many cases which could have been sorted by just talking to each other. And I'm talking about when 97, 98, when there was no word of mediation. It was just my observation. I was like, why did these people have to come to court? It was just casual observation. I was looking up mediation at that time, and then, a typical thing, my children were born and I had to literally stop practice because I wanted to be with the kids. And 15 years I was at home and loved every moment of it. I thought I'm bringing up my children, but then I was growing up, I think, because I learned meditation, I learned yoga, and then I became a faculty with the Art of Living Foundation, if you know. And when we became the faculty, we went through this beautiful training where, we were taught, actually, I was like, this was a very interesting thing to learn, when you are a yoga teacher and a teacher of meditation. We are taught to pause, we are taught to empathize, to speak gently, mindfully, and to speak with awareness. All these things were very new to me, that, it could be actually inculcated in us. And, it was like peacekeeping can be taught and learned. This was something, my takeaway was that. And while I was at it, even I was transforming as an individual in my interactions and as a person as well. Then, cutting short, later I got trained with Thomas Valenti from Chicago as a mediator. We didn't have many trainings happening at that time. So that was but the turning point to become a mediator came to me when I was studying at National Law School, and I did a dissertation with the Bangalore Mediation Center. And I was shadowing mediations. And like all three of you shared, how it was as lawyers, we see cases are settling in hours or in days. It was like magic for me. I was like, really, this can happen, So for me as a lawyer, it was very surprising. Another thing that was surprising in the mediations was people were actually happy. They were like smiling and happy, tears and hugging and, thanking us so many times for solving their problem. I had never seen this in the law courts. We all know that, right? It was really wonderful for me to see that. And then I became mediator and I'm doing the mediations. It was like how time flies, 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes. People open up and share, and it's like they find the space so safe. They would have never talked of things that could be 10 years back, 15 years back. And they're healing, literally, when people share, they heal. And it's like, I'm part of that journey. I mean, that was really special. So then I created a training for the students. Being a trainer, I created a training which was I found the training, what I was doing was not very relevant to the Indian mindset. We are very different. We are not so formal as the mediation training is. So, and then I added a lot of Bollywood films, clippings into the training so that my students enjoy it and don't find it very boring. So I started training the law students. I trained some students from school as well, teenagers. And I found them, more than them, I was enjoying it a lot. Seeing them transform, See, teenage is the most conflicted period of your time. And if you learn to mediate at that time, I mean, I see the magic in the students. They tell me, oh, we have a vocabulary now. I'm not so angry anymore, stuff like that. So I train and I absolutely love these two jobs. And when I stopped being a lawyer, I have no regrets. Till today, when I'm meeting you all wonderful ladies, right? So I have these few observations. I'll keep it short. Okay. And I think some of you have already covered it, but I'll just say it again. So women can handle tough conversations. You know, I noticed my dad doing it to my mom when things became difficult. He would be like, okay, you go, you take care of it. And mom would handle it like a pro, you know. So I think that's what I observed. And I realized that we can hold tough conversations. And second thing is, women don't give up easily. We just don't give up. And if you see the challenges faced by women and men, definitely across the world, women have more challenges. And because women don't give up, I noticed that we don't give up on relationships as well. And when we sit there as non-give uppers in mediations, we do this. We allow the parties to, mediate. We're patient with the parties. It comes naturally to us. And we allow them to generate more options. Then I would see my male colleagues do it. They would be very quick with resolving or arriving at a solution. Then women, we will give more perspectives, more options, because we don't give up. And point number 3, what I noted was soft skills. They come very naturally to us. We just have to become a mother. And I think you seem to be, acquiring them very easily. Soft skills to pause, to just listen. Being neutral comes easily to us. And if you have children of 2 children, you will know, that you just have to be neutral. You can't take sides. So, being neutral comes very easy to women. And the next 4th point I made was we communicate very easily. I was watching Eunice so effortlessly share. It was like, yeah, we are women, we can do it, I was really enjoying that so much. We will listen and we will also share really easily. So to allow parties to do it in a mediation also becomes easy for us, right? Yeah, I can see married women smiling at this point next when I tell you, I don't know if the audience, anybody sitting. We listen very well, right? We listen very well. To any boring account, we can listen very well, right? Anything. So yeah, these are the few things I have observed. And always I like to share this experience of mine where I am teaching the future generation, they're all less than 24-year-olds. Max 24 is the age group of my students in the training. They start from like 16 to 24 is the age group. The transition I'm observing is that students, these boys and girls, are more amenable to resolving. Even the boys. My core team in my office is a lot of boys. I call them boys because, I don't want to call them men yet. It'll take some time. And then, so they resolve, they want to acquire soft skill, they really want to, create a peaceful space. And in India, there is a lot of gender neutralization happening. A lot of conversations around soft skills has increased. And I'm seeing that shift happening where it is not about women being good at this anymore. And I'm really very happy with that. Yeah, so yeah, I try to keep it short, and yeah, this is what I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was such a heartfelt conversation. And I'm sure, I have seen the Indian legal scenario being a law student myself. And I'm pretty sure, people will definitely be looking into mediation as an option over the traditional litigation, which we have been conditioned to believe is the right career choice after finishing your law. So that was very, very insightful. And now we can move over to the question and answer. So people are really excited to ask certain things. So I'll take up the first question from Mr. Sameer Shah, it is a fact that women have strong sixth sense and much stronger intuitive powers than men. How is it helpful to you in ADR and what is your experience regarding it? So I think Salva would want to answer this question. So Ms. Salva, you would want to address it as I can see here, or it's a very general question. So even all of you can give your insight on this one.
Will read again the question. How is it helpful to you?
Yes. So Mr. Sameer is asking that women do have very, very strong sixth sense and intuition, basically intuition and intuitive capacity. So how does this natural capacity of having a good intuition help them in ADR? And I can see you would like to answer this, so that's why I put it out to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the question. It's very important question because when we know our ability and capacity, we can use it positively. Okay. So in the mediation operation, when we go to the zone of conflict or to talk with the two parties or three parties of the conflict, we have to ensure yourself of peace mind and with passion. Okay, we can't assume this mission of mediation when you are in trouble. Okay, to know how to do with your reactive and reaction. Okay, so when you use our intuitive, female intuitive, we can resolve many problems. When you go to this room or to this zone and you see the reaction of people, their eyes, their body language, you analyze this, and the analyze is not the same between man and woman. Of course, sometimes we are naturally reactive, but when we are experienced, when you have this expertise, when you have this good training, as my dear colleague said, we have to do many training, and you ensure this operation of analyze with your soul, with your heart, with your intuitive, you will make the good decision and you will succeed in your operation. And we'll back to my colleague for another time when she said when we are a mother. Do you know when you are a mother of 2 children or more, we do every day the mediation operation, and you got skills different and more stronger than political conflicts. So for resolution, for good resolution, we have to hear our intuition, female intuition. We have to count on our emotional intelligence, and we have to go to make more training to know how analyze the facts and the element of the situation in conflict area, and to give us the good solution.
Thank you, Ms. Salva. So the next question is from Mr. Hartwell, and he's asking, do the speakers have a view about trusting a neutral to mediate and arbitrate in the same dispute? So, Ms. Eunice, I think I would request you to answer this, and even the other speakers can chip in from their respective experiences and their point of view.
Sorry, I'm trying to see the question again. So the question is, do the speakers have a view about trusting a neutral to mediate and arbitrate
in the same dispute? This is the question.
Yes, I know I'm not an arbitrator, but I know people who are mediator and an arbitrator. Sometimes when because before you can arbitrate a matter here in Nigeria with our law, there must be an arbitration clause in your agreement if it's a commercial dispute. And then you start with the mediation. If it's not working, mediation is party-driven solution. It's party's solution, party resolve. This is how we're going to do it. However, when they are not able to resolve, then they can now switch to to arbitration, whereby an arbitrator makes a binding decision for them. In that case, it's the arbitrator that is deciding for them, not them against, taking the power away from them. So I believe that, here in Nigeria, in Lagos, when a judge refer a matter to mediation or they've done a case management, it's not the same judge that we hear the matter. And I believe that applies when the matter has to go to arbitration, because we are human. You've heard both parties. So it may be difficult to remain neutral, having heard both parties, because in mediation, you've told them they can confide in you. They can say things, and everything they say is not going to be used against them. It's just to be used to facilitate communication, to facilitate resolution. So if the same mediator is not the one arbitrating, making a binding decision on the parties, the chances of being, I may be wrong, but I believe the chance of being neutral is very slim. And that is where here in Nigeria, the same judge that do a case manager is not the same judge that we do the trial. It's not so. I think that's my take on that question. I just want to add to what Selma said about the intuition. Just to add to what she said, that in a real life situation where you have family disputes, people could be very emotional. They will tell you lies, and if you don't use your sixth sense, you may be swayed away. But your intuition tells you that there is something amiss, and you'll be able to ask the right question to be able. So it's very, very relevant in mediating. Your sixth senses as a woman. So it's an advantage for, and which we leverage on it. It helps us to be able to get to the root of the problem and make a help party to have an amicable resolution in the best interest of the children when they have children.
Okay, so Miss Natalia, would you want to add something to it, or Miss Meena? Like, is there any other way in which there are certain disputes in which you can actually appoint somebody to mediate or arbitrate? Is there any alternate opinion to this?
I didn't get the question. Could you please
Miss Natalia?
Again? Yes, please. What's your question again?
Yeah, the question is, do the speakers it's a general question, so addressed to each one of you. Do the speakers have a view about trusting a neutral to mediate and arbitrate in the same dispute? So there is this arbitration and mediation, both options are open for the dispute resolution.
Okay, so let me go first. Now, in mediation, trust is very important. If the parties don't trust the mediator, the whole process becomes. So now, if as a mediator, you were unable to help the parties, get to an amicable resolution, then it's very difficult for the parties to trust you to actually help them arbitrate. Because if you could do it in mediation, then there will be no need for the parties going for arbitration. So you might find that parties will find it difficult really to trust the process. They would look at the fact that they could say that you are not actually competent, because if you are competent, your competence would have been glaring in helping them resolve their dispute during mediation. So it's going to be a little very difficult, except the parties say, okay, we're actually comfortable with you. And then maybe they are doing that because they believe that there's more money in mediation, in arbitration as against mediation. So they might want to opt for that and feel that you will. But you see, it's very dicey. If you're not careful, you may be sued as a mediator. I'm sorry, as an arbitrator, that, okay, fine, I can give awards here, because in mediation, that you can't give an award. But in arbitration, you can actually award damages or whatever. So the likelihood So one party could say that they don't trust you, or maybe you might make a comment during mediation and they feel that you are trying to be biased. They might not voice it out, but when you now come to mediation, they will feel, they won't trust you enough to actually do that. They will feel you're going to be biased. Perhaps you could be compromised. And so if you're compromised, either through cash gifts or other things, then they can't trust the process. So it's usually best to have a mediator who, a different person arbitrating and mediating at the same time. You don't have them, just have them separate. Don't bring the mediator into the arbitration in the same matter. Look for someone entirely different, neutral. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalia. So the next question is for Ms. Meena, and I would like her to address this question from Mr. Shah again. What are some specific challenges faced by women in ADR? So we have heard perspectives from other women, the challenges and how they have overcome them. From the Indian perspective, Ms. Meena, what are the specific challenges you have faced in your mediation journey? So we would really like to address that here.
What comes to my mind first is that as a woman in, I think I can generalize it, that the matters that come to me are only pertaining to divorce, custody, and that kind of matters only. Even though I have practiced in commercial, in civil, I can conduct these really well, and it's not coming very quickly to me. The cases that come to me are not civil and commercial, and I'm a private mediator. So even if I write about it, talk about it, when I'm telling people about it, people trust me as a woman with these matters. That is one challenge. And I'm always waiting, I get some commercial mediation and I know I'll do it so well. But yeah, that is one challenge. The second is sometimes it takes just a little longer for the men in the mediation to open up, and they have trust issues in the beginning, and almost always they take a little more time to open up because I'm a woman, but eventually they do. Now I figured out that how to make people feel comfortable, but they definitely don't open up as easily because it's a woman. And yeah, this is the main thing. And arbitration, yes. For arbitration, I think for some reason, men are, they prefer men or little senior men at that to go for arbitration, so yeah, I don't do a lot of arbitration. I just teach as a theory subject, but what I have observed from my colleagues is that women are not preferred for arbitration. But like I see my students in my trainings, this will definitely change. Yeah.
I can give another value.
Sure.
Okay. I think that the obstacles are objective and subjective. Subjective in some missions, women don't believe in women in mission of mediation, not men, women. They think, especially traditional women or women in our continent, they think that men are more qualified to ensure this mission of mediation than a woman. Debts. There is some debts from maybe from the victims of this conflict. Okay. Just a second, please.
Anyone else want to address this, or I think she'll be back in a second.
Okay.
So anyone can chip in. It's an interactive session,
Okay,
so
so-
anyone who has a perspective.
Okay, so let me just say, just an offshoot from what she was talking about. People don't really.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Just the objective, subjective. For the objective way and reason, it's a technical, there is no technical support. Okay, what does say about technical support? When you come to the operation of mediation, I talk about some experience in international sphere that I assumed. There is no assurance of security to the team of mediation. Okay, you feel insecure. Okay. Other problems, technical problems, it's about the reports. Some information is not given on the right time. Okay, and when you have not these reports or information or elements in the right time, you can fail your mission of mediation. So we have to be always vigilant about the matter of time in the operation of mediation, about the circulation of information, okay, and about the neutrality, to be always neutral, to be always resilient, to be always confident, and to be always in discipline frame. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Salwa. And Natalia, you please continue with what you were saying on the specific. You had something to say about the challenges women face in this field. So I would
Yes.
request you to continue with your answer.
Okay, so I was going to mention one of the things she already pointed out, which was neutrality. You have to constantly, be there, because again, for some men, they find it difficult to open up to the woman. And for me, it's the ego of the man, really, because most times the men are put forward there, and there's this in his subconscious that the men are better than women. So it's a battle. When I go into mediation and I find that they are mostly men, one of the first way I react, okay, I hope this man will accept me. Because there was a particular party that said a female mediator, I just smiled. I just put up that face like, yes. But at the end of the day, it was the way I handled it. And the man approached me later to say, sorry, I made this comment about you. Because in the past, he said he's been used to men being mediators in most of his matters. So, why, a woman, what does she know? And that's from a cultural perspective, where the men are always in the forefront and women are relegated to the background. So now you find more women coming out, being bold, and some men feel intimidated. And so the only way they can actually cover up their intimidation is to intimidate you as well, make you feel uneasy. And if you allow that to happen to you as a mediator, it's going to affect the whole process. And you find yourself trying to focus more on being accepted as a female mediator. So at every point in time, you have to put your head straight up there and know that it's not about the gender, but it's about the quality of your style, the quality of what you're studying. That's why I said you have to be prepared at all times. If you are prepared, you can't be thrown off balance. That's one of the challenges. And then, like I said, another challenge I've encountered is you have parties who have made up their mind from day one not to shift ground. I once experienced one, and she said she's not settling. Even her counsel did to make sure she has an open mind. You just have to, see this conflict from the other person's perspective. That's the only way. She just remained adamant. It was a very frustrating mediation for me. Eventually we settled, but it dragged on necessarily. So at that point in time, I felt, is it compulsory? So sometimes when I'm faced that kind of situation, I just adjourn the session and then give a room for the party to cool up before the next session. And most times when they come back, they are able to have a different mindset and we are able to resolve it. So those are specifics for me, really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Natalia. So our next question is, I think, for the moderator himself. Are one word alliance linked with arbitral women? Mr. Hartwell, no, we are not linked with arbitral women, but we are a dispute resolution focused organization. So yes, that way we are dealing in dispute resolution and ADR mechanisms. So one last question which we got from our live feed. Basically, I think all the speakers can address it briefly. So what are the ways to make the mediation process more effective? So based on your experiences and your insights, all the speakers can shed some light on this question in a brief manner. And then this would be the end of the session. I think this is the last question we received from our live LinkedIn live.
I'll take last like a good host.
Yes, me. Okay. Okay, you can please start, ma'am. I think then we can move on to others.
It's basically how to make it
More effective, a brief insight into the most effective ways in which it could actually end into a good settlement rate and things like that.
I think there are a lot of thoughts coming to my mind. One is that at the training, because I'm a trainer, a lot of time I'm seeing the link between when I'm training and my mediations. This is what my take home is. Take the training really, really seriously and not just teach the process, but also teach the people who are getting trained as mediators to learn how to approach the mediation itself, and also teach this part also where once how to end it. Most of the trainings do not focus on the last segment of demystifying, and that segment, it is often neglected in trainings what I have been kind of attending. So at the training it has to be taught, then it comes to the mind that the thought of resolution is a process. Of course, it is the resolution of the parties, it is not ours. But guiding them through our intuition or through the process towards it, it's something to be taught, I feel. And I take care of that, and it helps because oftentimes that is not focused upon. It's my take.
So I think, Ms. Eunice, would you want to give your insights into making the mediation process more effective?
Okay. Like Miss Mina said, training and practice, it comes with time. I know that the way I mediate now and the way I mediate when I first started has really changed. You listen more now. As the lawyer, sometimes we have some biases. You have the tendency to look at the case and like, oh, this person is wrong, this person is right. So, but most of the time, you discover that what is contained in the paper is actually different from the real issue. So, to have an effective mediation, one, you have to build the trust, get the trust of the parties. Let them know that you are neutral and you are out for the interest of all the parties. And then listen and listen well. Sometimes parties go all out talking that is not even relevant to the issue at hand. So we learn how to paraphrase, rephrase, then summarize that is this what the issue is. Identify the issue on time. When you're able to identify the issue, so you narrow the whole process down to the main issue, and all those extraneous matter has been sieved away. I was in a mediation as an advocate. I went with a client. It was a tenancy matter, and the mediator, but it was funny because the matter was not resolved, but we settled it outside the mediation room. We left the mediator and we went to go and settle on our own. What happened? The landlord leased the property for 5 years, and the lessee was to be paying every year. So at the end of the third year, they decided they cannot pay, they cannot continue paying. So they gave a notice that we're going to terminate, we're not continue. But the landlord insisted that you must continue. But the agreement did not even say that they have to continue. The only thing that the agreement says, when they want to renew like that, the landlord they have to tell the landlord, I want to renew, and within the period of 3 months. But you did not say when they don't want to renew, what should they do? But out of our own solution, we offer that, okay, because we cannot afford to pay again, we're going to pay you 6 months, even though the agreement didn't say that. And then we leave. Because to even get people out of the procession, it's a tug of war here in Nigeria. But here you see a tenant that is willing to leave and even pay for 6 months that is not there. But what the mediator did not even allow my client to say the position. She just jumped into the arena. She's a woman. That, oh, you allowed them. Why didn't you put it in agreement? Why did you not? So she lost us at that moment. That no, we can't have, because it appears that you even know each other. Tomorrow, I still believe that probably the lawyer, they both know each other before coming into. And because of that, that matter did not set. She was not able to settle that matter. But outside the mediation room, we settled because the landlord knows that we gave him a good deal. So as a mediator, we need to be able to control our emotion. Even when you have biases that this person is wrong, we don't need to put it at their face. We need to be able to be emotionally intelligent to know the right question to ask per time and to be able to drive party to a reasonable conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Eunice. So, Ms. Salma, would you like to add to this question?
Just a few words to ensure the success of our operation of mediation. We have to choose our team and make our team represented by women 50-50. When we are with women and our team, we ensure as I said in the first time, we ensure the success of the operation and the sustainability of the operation. And second part of the success is depend of you. Only you. You have to prepare your mission. You have to be confident, sincere with the parties and with your partner, and disciplined. And you have the good preparation of your technical part of mission. Thank you.
Okay, so I think anybody else wants to add something before we start closing this wonderful session?
Yes, I want to add that you have to be patient as a mediator. Your patience is important. Otherwise, you get irritated and the parties will see it. Once they see that, you've already lost them in a part of the way. You just have to be patient because some parties can drag on the process. And one of the ways you can actually curb this is to set the ground rules. And if any of the parties is going outside of the ground rules, bring them back to it. Remind them that, and then for timing, if you don't manage your time well, one party may take more time than the other, and someone will complain about it. I had a session where I had given other parties to speak, and they one said, "Oh, he spoke longer than me," and he spoke, and at that point I realized that I had made a mistake of not apportioning or telling the parties how long they would have to use during their opening statement. So going forward in all my mediations, what I do is I tell the parties, you have 10 minutes for your opening statement. And once that time is getting close, I remind them that way you are able to manage it and nobody complains. So if they need more time, you give them, and then you also have to give the other part. And that, that strikes the balance. And then also understand emotions of the parties. You need to understand their temperament. And so that's why as a mediator, you have to be very observant, knowing their body languages and the things they do. It's important. And finally, I want to ask, listening. You have to pay attention because you can't paraphrase properly if you don't listen. Active listening is important. Once you do that, you can give a good paraphrasing. Thank you very much.
So I think it was such a great session and it was so insightful. So on the ending note, I would first of all thank you all the panel members and attendees who took out time from their very, very busy schedules in the middle of the week to be a part of it. So thank you for that. And it was obviously a delightful session and pleasure to interact with you all. The live recordings will also be available on social media handles of World Disputes Ecosystem. Federation of Integrated Conflict Management and World Law Alliance. So for those of you who missed it, please catch it on our social media handles, and there is so much to learn from it. So looking forward to further such engagements. I hope you all also had a good time with me. So have a good day.
Thank you so much, Prachi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you. It was nice.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank-
Good job, Prasha.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.